It's July 27th, 2020. It's a really warm day here in Seattle. Let's start the update here with the lavender. As you can see, all the flowers are pretty much gone now. Here's the rosemary. Looks pretty much the same. Let's look at the succulent. This one is looking really healthy. You can see a lot of new leaves as well as that one. This newly transplanted one is also looking great. You can see the new leaf is coming out. The one that I transplanted from indoor looks like it's doing well too, even though the leaves are kind of red. The string of pearls is also looking good. You can see a lot of new growth. Here's the frizzle sizzle. You can see the flower spike is getting a lot taller. I'll give you a closer look. It's a little hard to get to, but you can see the flowers are forming nicely. And there's the other smaller flower spike. It's also getting taller too. I also moved this indoor succulent outside, hoping the leaves are going to change color. Here we have the elephant food plants. You can see a lot of new leaves actually. Pretty much all the new stems are sending out new leaves. Let's look at the frizzle sizzle flower again. Anyways, here is the raspberry. You can see the first eared cane are flowering now. Here's some flowers. Let's look at a few more flowers. Here's a bunch more flowers. I haven't been really seeing bees around these, so they might not be pollinated as well. Let's look at these ones. The center one, the center raspberry, doesn't look like it's pollinated as well as the ones we had last month. Here's the artichoke. As you can see, the flower is dead. It has given up, so that's a bad news. I wonder if the artichoke plant is still growing. Let's take a look at the base of the plants. Seems like there's still one plant right here, but it doesn't look too healthy. Other than that, the mints are really growing, as you can see. It's getting taller and bigger. Over here we have the green onion. As you can see, there's a lot of flowers, but if you look down here, it seems like it's finally sending out some leaves. Right here. That's a new growth from the base. Here's another rosemary. Looks pretty good to me. Some new leaves forming. The succulent is still flowering, as you can see, a lot of flowers. Here's the mulberry. Doesn't look too different from last week. Down here we have the lily of the valley. Some of the leaves has started to turn yellow, so it has started to die back. As for the blueberry, a lot of the berries are getting ready for harvest, like these ones over here. I harvested a bunch of blueberries this week, so I'm gonna show you that clip at the end of the video. Over here's the dahlia, a bit wilted, but you can see these flowers have opened, looking pretty great. I'll give you a closer look. I should cut this for indoor too. Here's the strawberries. Looks pretty much the same. A lot of runners. Over here's the calla lily. A lot of leaves and a few more flowers forming like this one, but pretty much all the flowers are harvested, and I'll show you that at the end of the video as well. Over here's the hydrangea. A lot of flowers like last week. Over here's the crimson clover seedling. As you can see, it's definitely growing. Hopefully we'll see some flowers from this guy. Looking very healthy though. And the ginger. That little sprout I showed you last week is getting a lot taller now. You can tell. Right here it's sending out some new leaves. I've never grown a ginger. And here, at the side of that one, you can see a tiny sprout forming too. So, yeah, it's sending out a lot of sprouts. Well, so far too. Here's the asparagus. You can see the leaves are turning yellow. And here's the catnip. Still flowering actually, so I'm gonna keep it around. The grape looks pretty much the same. Here's the Mexican stone crop, a lot of new leaves. Here's the rhubarb. The new leaves from last week are all opened now. From here, I'm not seeing any new leaves for now. And here we have the pineapple. I've been tracking it, and it seems like the growth is getting a lot more rapid. This new leaf I've been tracking is getting a lot longer. And at the center of the plant, I'm seeing a lot more new leaves forming. Sorry, I'm saying a lot of new leaves, but that's pretty much the theme of the garden right now. And lastly, we have the catnip. Almost forgot to mention the hydrangea. I prop it up with a stick. You can see right here, this new growth is actually gonna send out some flowers. If you look closely, those are the flowers that's gonna form. And down here's the other new growth. You can see it's also getting bigger now. And the main growth is also sending out some auxiliary growth, like these ones over here. And the flowers, as you can see, are turning pretty green, and most of them are pretty much dried out too. As for the indoor garden, here we have the dendrobium mini snowflake. You can see it sending out more new growth, like this one over here. And this other pot is also sending out this new growth over here. The lady slipper orchid is looking pretty much the same, but I believe it's gonna flower soon, according to my record. Here's the mini oncidium. You can see the flower spikes is getting longer. This other pot has a bit more flower spikes. You can see here's one. It's kind of branching out already. Here's another one that hasn't branched out yet, and this one is just forming. Here's more orchid. Doesn't look too different. Over here we have the phalaenopsis. You can see this new leaf is still getting bigger. Kind of slow though. Here's the succulent. You can see it's actively growing. Here's the snake plant, also actively growing. Here's the ficus tree. You can see there's a lot of new leaves forming. And the snake plant leaf. Here's a few more succulents. You can see the leaves are growing towards the sun. Dragon tree plant is looking great. Also, last week when I was watering the plant, I broke one of the staghorn fern that was in the pot. So I put them in some wet paper towel. Looks like it's doing fine now. Not sure if the roots are forming yet, but I'll show you more progress of this next week. Here's the birdnest fern. Philodendron is looking great. Pear plant is also looking great. Here's the Hoya plants with that new growth. And I believe there's another new growth down here. More like new leaves, not really a new growth, but yeah, here's some new leaves. And the mountain staghorn fern is also looking fine. Spider plant is also looking great. Here's the harvest I did this week. This is a harvest I did on the 23rd. I got some more calla lily flowers from outdoor. You can see we have two varieties here, like what we have previously. I harvested a total of 6 flowers, I think. And on the same day, I also harvested a bunch more blueberries. I believe this is the second harvest of this season. I'll pour it into some other containers to show you how many we actually have. I'll pour it into this plastic bag, so you'll actually see how many of the berries I harvested. And here we have it. You can see we have a lot of blueberries. I think it's more than the first harvest. I'm gonna keep harvesting the blueberries. This could be the biggest harvest for this season. Maybe the next harvest is gonna be smaller, but only time will tell.